Good morning, everybody. This is Grant from State of the Spark. I hope you are doing fantastic. It is Wave Day, and we're going to cover what is Wave Day. That's January 27th. Every single year, we celebrate wrecking and surviving the North Pacific. We're going to talk briefly about that, and then 5 travel lessons I learned from that experience, specifically the experience with Semester at Sea. Before that, we're going to cover other news, including the world's most expensive piece of art ever done. And it's up right now. And we're going to cover what that is. And no, it is not an ancient piece of artwork. It is a modern piece of artwork, and it's intriguing. We're also going to cover what's going on with the Spacewalk at this very minute, and a link for you there. And do web pages actually rank? How is it that no website will ever actually have a ranking? A little bit of clarity on that in other news. But before we do any of that, you know what time it is. It's time for a morning cup of gratitude, my lovelies. I'm gratitude for 4 quick things this morning, and I want to hear from you in the comments. Hit me in the comments. What are you grateful for this morning? I'm grateful for several quick things. Number 1, I'm grateful for foggy morning quiet times, which I had the luxury of this morning. I'm grateful for Wave Day. January 27th was the day that I was on Semester at Sea in spring 2005 with a group of other lovely individuals. And it's the day that we wrecked in the North Pacific and recovered and were saved from that wreck and landed shipwrecked on a Pacific island. And by that, I mean we were in hotels in Hawaii, which wasn't so bad. I'm also grateful for my interview with Chandler Jericho, who's been a CEO twice now and is doing a huge life journey, moving not away from business, but melding his spiritual journey with his business experience, which is phenomenal. So I'm grateful for that interview on Monday. And last but not least, I'm grateful for writing another 300 words, only 300 words, but 300 words nonetheless, in my last book. That's what I'm grateful for this morning. What are you grateful for? I want to hear in the comments what things you're grateful for today on this lovely, lovely Wednesday. I think it's a Wednesday. Let's touch on a quick bit of other news. In other news, a spacewalk is going on over your head right now. Yes, you heard that correctly. There's a spacewalk going on right now overhead. Ooh, hang on. Pause. Timeout. My lovely bride said she's grateful for a hot shower, a comfy bed, fettuccine pasta, and snugs with you. And that's me, not you. I'm grateful for that. My lovely wife is here. And in the vein of a lovely cup of gratitude, I'm grateful for a partner like Marissa Face, who just took 4 awesome ladies on the Florida Trail. I'm jealous. I want to go on the next one, but it's a girls only trip to Arizona. But I want to go and be out there with my wife. She makes it look so darn fun. David Patrick says he's grateful for health, business relationships that continue to grow. Yes, sir. Continued health, continued growth in relationships. And Brittany Welchel says, my health, the girls, Montessori schooling, which is phenomenal, reconnecting with Chris Ann Long, which is awesome, and her new home. Awesome, man. I love hearing what you guys are grateful for. That fills me up. In other news this morning, there is a spacewalk going on overhead. It's 6.5 hours long. Astronauts Victor Glover in no stripes and Michael Hopkins in red stripes. Yes, it's getting that specific, and there's enough people watching that they need to actually indicate who these astronauts are. They're putting in the Bartolomeo platform. It's a platform outside the European Space Agency's platform. It's like an arm with panels on it. And if you have a science experiment, it can get mounted. And that science experiment can be as small as a shoebox or the size of 2 washing machines. And then your material goes up there. It does space experiments for 12 months, and then they'll bring it back down on the next recovery vehicle. It's super cool. And I'm also grateful for the era that we live in because we can actually watch this thing. So I put in the comments below, if you're just curious what goes on, even watching for 5 minutes can blow your mind what's going on this spacewalk. You don't have to watch the whole thing, but just to see science happening and new thresholds happening right now is super powerful. That's first piece of other news. Second piece of other news. Google confirms that no websites ever get ranked. You heard that correctly. Websites don't get ranked. Only web pages do. Bah, bah. Let's talk on this. Here we go. John Mueller is the voice of reason as it comes to all things Google ranking. And obviously, as a website company, we hear phrases like, why doesn't my website rank anymore? My website used to rank, it doesn't now. And there's so many technical reasons on why this phrase is incorrect. Me and the team are always trying to find new ways to simplify, yet explain what is going on with search engine optimization ranking. And in short, websites don't rank, web pages rank. And why this is important, it's important for 3 quick reasons. Number 1, please, it's important for the reason of listen to your web developer. Do not come to your web developer, ask them a question, them answer it, and then you get put out because of the price tag they're telling you about, the nuances they're talking about. It's a very technical thing to get ranked. And so listen to your web developer when they give you advice on things big and small when it comes to ranking. And just a case in point, we had a client last week that asked about ranking. And I tried to explain how complicated it was. And they said, it's way too complicated. Simplify this for me. And I said, okay, blog once or twice a week on your topic. And they said, that's way too simple. And they went to look for a marketing agency. It's like, okay, that's fine. And marketing helps. Paid marketing is different than SEO. But what this means is listen to your web developer on things big and small. The second thing it means is this. You can have stuff on your website that doesn't have to do with your SEO. And that's great. And it won't ruin your SEO. This is great news. Why is it great news? Because I'm telling clients all the time, please add more personality to your brand. The public and visitors respond very well to authentic brands with people behind them. Brittany, in her comment, just mentioned she's grateful for reconnecting with Chris-Ann Long. That's awesome. Chris-Ann Long is the person we want to connect with, not this amorphous thing called Bridge. The people of Bridge are the thing we want to connect with, not this thing called Bridge. It's the people. It's like Bill Clinton. It's the economy, stupid, right? It's the people, friend. If you want your website to really start ranking, you don't have to get every single page on your SEO. You can add personality. The last thing this means is this. SEO takes time, it takes attention, and it takes labor. You will likely pay more for your SEO in a single year than you would for your entire website design in most circumstances. Just accept it. It's an ongoing checkers match, not a chess match. It's not a chess match because it's not too complicated. You're not playing against other people necessarily. The actions are the same no matter what, which is kind of like checkers, but it's an ongoing game. David Patrick says, interesting suggestion for that stubborn customer. Set them up with a peer client customer convo and let them tell that stubborn customer the same thing. That's good advice, especially from David. David's got a lot of experience in sales and a lot of experience in tech. And I had not thought to bring a client along with a potential client meeting. You're absolutely correct. And in the end, like, I'm in good relationship with all of our clients. It's just sometimes when it comes to SEO and it comes to not just pixel pushing, but actually performance of a website, it is very difficult conversations. But this is a great suggestion from David Patrick. Thank you for that suggestion, sir. You're on point today. So, I wanted to give you a link for those who are nerd alert curious. Boop. Nerd alert curious on SEO ranking. I put the link in the comments there so that you can see from John Mueller himself, the voice on Twitter of Google about ranking. It's some of his affirmations that websites don't get ranked, web pages get ranked. So that's it. And then last piece of other news. What is the most expensive piece of artwork of all time? And it's not what you think. You see, we've been talking about the painting by Da Vinci called Salvator Mundi quite a bit. They found a 400-year-old copy recently that was worth some money. Salvator Mundi itself, I think, is nearly $140 million by Da Vinci. This new piece of artwork is worth a whopping $147 million. It is in the Grand Central Station right now, and this is what it is. It is a cyclone of paperwork floating to the ceiling, taking up about 6,000 square feet of Grand Central Station. What's on the papers, you might ask, that make it worth $147 million? There's over 2,600 college diplomas, each, and they're actual, genuine diplomas that college earners have mailed to the artist to display. Each piece was required to be worth $180,000 each, and in combination, it was an art installation piece commissioned to call out the American college debt crisis. $147 million art installation. And will that ever go to Christie's on auction? You bet not. It's probably going to be deconstructed and either destroyed or mailed, or the diplomas themselves be mailed back to the clients. So that is how you make a $147 million sculpture. You simply use everyone's paper diplomas that they're not doing anything with, worth $180,000 each. Boom. So that is our last piece of other news. Let's talk about the 5 lessons I learned in honor of January 27th, Wave Day, to celebrate. Geez, it's been 5:15. David says, Pixel Pushers, good band name. Pixel Pushers. Oh, there we go. Pixel Pushers, David, are what I call it when clients just get down to the point where they think that they really know design better. And sometimes some clients that are in that space do, but other clients, they just know what they think they want. And they're like, could you nudge it here? Could you nudge it here? Could you change it to black? Could you change it back to blue? Could you change it back to black? That's what we call the pixel pushing in design. All right, here we go. 5 quick tips I learned that moved me to my soul from Semester at Sea. This was nearly 16 years ago. For those of you who don't know, just simply scroll down. If you're watching this, scroll down in the comments to where I've posted the names of several people. Sometimes I'll tag people when I do the show, and I'll tag them to invite them to the show. I've tagged a few extra people, and these are people that have stayed in my memory, have done extraordinary things with their life, have gone on to be awesome humans. David Harvitz, Katie Bell Gomez, Melissa Buss, Rachel Eva, Katie Andrews, Whitney Ellis, so many awesome people that we traveled around the world with, a once-in-a-lifetime trip. And I hope it's more than once in a lifetime, in all honesty. And these people have gone on to do many more important things than simply ride on a boat around the world. But we can all agree it was certainly profound in all of our lives and was a major threshold moment in our own journeys. So here are the 5 principles that reflecting on this morning in my journal. I'm always unpacking additional lessons from all of my travel, whether it's the work we've done in Haiti, whether it was living in the Dominican Republic, whether it was traveling to Spain or traveling with Semester at Sea or being in Iceland. We've done a lot in our life, but I love Semester at Sea because it has a special place in my heart for some of the adventures we went on. For those who don't know, and we will post a link here in a minute, we were featured on Storm Stories and Inside Edition because the ship was hit by a rogue wave in spring, basically January 27, 2005. And I and my compatriots, some of those tagged, and many others still that I did not mention there, who we also became friends, we all huddled together in the hallways of this ship, wondering if we were going to have to abandon ship. At one point, we had to muster to stations. The waves were 50 foot. The water was 40 degrees. The air was 32. It was icicles 600 miles off the Aleutian Islands off of Alaska's coast. And we thought we were going to have to abandon ship. And I won't go into what happened, but we had an awesome crew. There was a great amount of prayer and a lot of fellowship supporting one another. And the boat finally came out of its trials. They recovered the boat and we continued our journey. But it set the tone for a life and a trip of adventure. Here are my 5 quick lessons. Number one, and this just gives me chills thinking about. Number 1, travel with friends. Don't just travel to travel. Travel with friends. And if your friends can't travel with you, travel with anybody, because anybody will become friends. As I said, I want to mention David Harvitz, who's been a friend. We've stayed with him and his wife before. He now lives in Pensacola. Katie Andrews, Katie Boyle, as we knew her. Hey, Boyle. I'm sorry, Katie Bell Gomez, Katie Boyle Andrews, Melissa Buss, Rachel Eva has gone on to be a fine artist, Whitney Ellis. All of these people have gone on to build extraordinary lives and do very interesting things. But we had moments traveling the world, touching on theology, touching on personal development, sharing resources, getting into trouble, running. I remember running in Shanghai. I remember running in Kenya. We've done a lot of things together. Number one, travel with friends. And if you can't travel with friends, travel with people, because those people will become your friends. In fact, Divya, I want to call out Divya too. Divya's become a fast social media friend after that trip who we met in India. Number two, please be deeply curious about the world. I never want to travel again without a student's mind. And I gained that from semester at sea. I had traveled before semester at sea, but traveling after semester at sea had set such a deep curiosity about the world. It enriched my trip so much to be a student while I traveled. And now just to travel to see things feels so hollow. To travel with an instructor or a teacher or a local national is so much richer. When we then moved on after semester at sea and started doing work in Haiti, it made such a difference to become friends with local Haitians and then become our friends who I still talk to this day. And those people being friends with you enrich an experience so much. And then you shift from being prescriptive about your trip. I'm in Iceland and I want to see this glacier. Instead, you become natively curious and open to adventure. I remember in Iceland, we were natively curious about why all the chess pieces were in the town of Selfoss that was right near our Airbnb. And as we looked around and we researched it, we found out this is where the only place Bobby Fischer could go once America basically banned him from returning for playing chess against a Russian, even though we were in the Cold War. Iceland was the only country to take him in. We went to Bobby Fischer's gravestone in a very humble graveyard in the middle of nowhere. We found that because we were deeply curious about the world. Please carry more questions than opinions. And this is true of at home or abroad. Lesson number 2 was be deeply curious about the world. Lesson number 3, listen, the poor don't consider themselves the poor. This is true in America. This is true in other countries. We have to quit referring to people in underdeveloped nations as the poor. Whether it's missionaries misapplying that term, we're here to serve the poor. What does that even mean? Developed versus, so countries, instead of calling them the poor, we need to refer to them as developed countries, developing countries, or underdeveloped countries. You see, what I wrote in my journal, and I was reflecting on this morning, what I wrote in my journal back then was this. Every person I met wants a future for their kids, a roof over their head, food to eat that day, and to simply be happy. If you could boil down what we all have in common, we want a future, hopefully for our kids or our nieces or nephews or the next generation. We want a roof, a safe, secure roof. It doesn't have to be glorious or grand, but we want it to be ours. We want food to eat that day. And that's not too much to ask. And we want to be happy. And that often comes from the relationships around us. I wrote this in my journal back then, and I reflect on it today. And the lesson, the third lesson for this morning's reflection on Wave Day is the poor don't consider themselves poor. They don't walk around with this label. Oh, I'm in this category called the poor. Like Christians walk around. I'm in this category called Christian. Or, in politics, people wear their political brand. The poor don't think of themselves that way. This is a construct of people who value the inverse opposite, wealth. In the developed world, we value too much, a little too much wealth. Is wealth bad? No, but we value it too much. We have it. We should share it. We should build it. We should be grateful for it, but we shouldn't value it. Labeling someone poor is a construct of those who value the inverse of wealth. More accurately, what people need, instead of calling them poor, there's a nuance. They need access to clean water. They need access to health care. They need access to education. They should have access to the internet. And those things together give them access to hope of their future. And that gives them access to a sense of agency and happiness. Can we simplify this? They're not the poor. They just want clean water. They want education. They want health care. What that means is, I want a future. And what that means is, I want the freedom to take agency for my future. Let's quit calling people the poor, please. Let's eliminate that. And anyone who thinks about that, they're not going to call themselves poor. You're never going to call yourself poor because you and I have an innate understanding that if I start calling myself that and owning that label, I'll start acting like that. Please give them the dignity that that is not what they have. Semester at Sea taught me that the poor don't consider themselves poor. Number 4, Semester at Sea taught me the most important lessons will always come from the most surprising places. The most important lessons will always come from the most surprising places. Please travel a little bit, and we'll talk on that for the last one. But the same heart with which you travel, where you're open and curious and food tastes good and smells are new, and what's that all about? Learn to do that in life, because in that heart, in that openness is where life's greatest lessons will come and touch your soul. When you're open and curious like you are when you travel and your eyebrows are always raised and your eyes are always open, it's in that frame of mind that wisdom of God hits you. If you can travel more, bringing that mindset home, not just photos, not just shot glasses, please do something far more intelligent than that. Bring back an open heart, a curious heart, and you're going to be amazed at how touched your life will continuously be. And that leads me to the lesson number 5 that Semester at Sea taught me, honoring Wave Day, January 27th. Travel. Lesson number 5, what I learned from Semester at Sea in honor of Wave Day. Lesson number 5 is travel. In all you do, always make travel a goal in and of itself. And that's okay. It's not selfish. In fact, you putting your feet to soil to walk around this native earth, meeting other parts of your species, dropping your sense of patriotism, which is a good thing, dropping your sense of too much loyalty to a specific geography, which is a good thing, exposing yourself to other weather patterns, other food patterns, other speaking patterns, other patterns of anthropological thought, other paradigms of the world, other religions. Travel. In all you do, always make travel a goal in and of itself. Yes, you need a community to be serving. Yes, you need a secure, stable home base. Remember what I said. Every person, even people that you consider poor, that don't consider themselves poor, we're all looking for a stable roof over our head. Always have a community, always have a home base, but always travel. If you need to save up, go without coffee. But whatever you do, travel. Leitra Davis says, absolutely correct. Having that childlike, wondrous heart creates life-altering moments for the better. Absolutely correct. Having a childlike, wondrous heart creates life-altering moments, nearly always for the better. I can't tell you how true this is. Why are we talking about this? Today's January 27th. In spring 2005, on January 27th, our boat was hit by a rogue wave in North Pacific. I was traveling in Semester at Sea with Dave Harvitz, Katie Boyle Andrews, Katie Bell Gomez, Rachel Eva, Whitney Ellis, and a whole slew of other awesome people who have gone on to do amazing things. And together, we survived that. We didn't do anything to save our own butts other than pray. But we stuck together and we became fast friends, at least for that trip. And I've been able to observe their lives, thanking God and grateful for social media that I can follow their lives and see the awesome things they have done. And I want to pay honor to that today. So the 5 lessons in summary that Semester at Sea taught me in reflection this morning: travel with friends. And if you can't travel with friends, travel with people, because they'll become friends. Number 2, be deeply curious about the world. Absolutely curious with a student's mind. Number 3, The poor, please do not consider them poor because the poor do not consider themselves poor. Number 4, the most important lessons will always come from the most surprising places. Have a childlike heart. And number 5, travel. And all you do, travel. Brittany says, Adam had highest ever travel days in 2020. He did almost 2 months of traveling. That was very cool to see to happen for him. And Brittany, I'm glad you mentioned the highest evers there because this should be a metric for people. Now, should we be traveling 365 days a year? Well, maybe for a season of our life, but I do think we need a home base. I do think we need a sense of community and to sew into people in a regular way. So I don't know what the ideal number is, but it is interesting to track. Was this my highest ever? I think in 2020, we lived in Breckenridge in Colorado for nearly 8 weeks. You guys visited, Marlena visited, Randy visited, James and Dory and their lovely family visited. Brittany then says we probably won't exceed that this year. We have different goals. And that's the point. Knowing your season, but still having travel and getting better at travel. I don't mean more efficient. I don't mean spending more money or more luxurious. I don't mean necessarily only volunteering. Being better at travel by traveling with an open heart to open yourself to those things. Well, anyways, thank you guys so much for participating and celebrating Semester at Sea Wave Day, January 27th with me this morning. It's touched my heart to reflect on this, and it's opened me. And you guys just being here to interact, Leitra and David and Brittany and Marissa, thank you guys for celebrating this today with me. Remember, if you guys need any support at all, reach out to us at the Facebook Goals and Gratitude group. Just hit us here. Ask your question. Say, hey, I need support. Be vocal about it. Don't just share your goals and what you're grateful for. Tell us where you need help because we want to serve that. But of all things today, one thing Semester at Sea taught me, it was this, the mission. Remember the mission, igniting lives of explosive significance, starting with your own. Have a phenomenal day.